So far with these expeditions, all I've seen is people trying to figure out ways to get these quieter. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our expedition out and I'm going to put the RPM up here. And I'm just going to kind of video at different points and see what the RPM is. Like us driving at 10 mile per hour, 20 mile per hour, 30 mile per hour in the same scenario. Then I'm going to change the factory belt out to this new one. Now, I'll put a link in the bio where you can buy this belt, and then I'll also link the video of who I'm talking about and the belt that they've come out with and why they think that it's better in factory. But we're gonna do it scientifically. We're gonna use the factory belt, which is what I've got on now. This machine has roughly, let's see, how many miles do I got on this machine? Well, 77.5. So this belt's broke in plenty. This is a factory belt that's on there now. And let's just see what the RPM is riding around at 10 mile per hour. I'm going to use high as my main driving point. And the reason I say that is because this expedition is geared so low that it's just, you don't really use, low unless you're in a really creeping scenario, and you're probably going to be going 10 to 12 mile per hour and low in one of these. And these machines can drive on the trail in high with zero issue. Now, I haven't had any trouble out of my factory belt, and this thing is clutched so well that you can see right there, I'm going 0 to 1 mile per hour in high, and this machine is silky smooth. I mean, it's so smooth. The other thing that I'm going to do in this is I'm going to change it over to Amsoil, and we'll see if it has any difference. I'll do them at 2 different times, and I may include it in this video. I'm not sure yet, but we're in high right now, and this company claims that their belt is better than factory, or they feel like it's better than factory, and it lowers your RPM 2 to 300, not 2 to 3,000, but 2 to 300 RPM. So like if we're running 10 mile per hour up through here right now, we're running at about 4,500 RPM. If I go to 11, it goes a little bit higher, but if I stay at 10, it's anywhere between 42 and 43, depending on what the range is. But I will put a video side by side of me going up through here. It's hard to keep it at 10 because you can't set the cruise and the train's up and down. It's making my foot move a little bit. But anywhere from 9 to 11 mile per hour, we're anywhere from 4,100 to, and now I'm going downhill, to 4,500, as you can see right here, just going down this path. I'll get it out on the highway and do 20 mile per hour and see where we're sitting at there. But if this will lower the RPM 2 to 300, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but over a day's period, if it would drop it 1 decibel, it would be worth it to me. And they claim that the belt makes the shifting and everything better on these, which would be crazy because the shifting on this is really good anyway. But let's see if I get it up to about 20 on here where I'm at. So I'm on the flat right now, and I'm at about 4,900 at 20 mile per hour. Let's see what it is on the highway. This thing gives you such a confidence compared to a Ranger or a Defender. I mean, I've been coming off of our landing over here and just jumping that whole thing. All right, we're out on the highway. Let's see at about 10 miles per hour what we've got on this flat up here. So in high at 10 miles per hour, just cruising, we're at about 3,600. All right, let's get to 20. So anywhere from 48, 49. All right, now I'm gonna go back and change the belt out on this and see what we get and try to do it within a 2-hour time period so the ambient temp is roughly the same on this machine. Now, to change the belt in these, you can watch that on Polaris's website, but I think it's 18 or 20 screws. And we'll compare these two belts side by side so you guys can see if there's any difference. Watch out, Abby. I'll give you guys a rundown on this. You've got to take this off to change your belt, which is super simple. It's just got the pins on the end, the pin here, and you just pull the little tabs, and then it comes out of your tower up here, and then there's one on the bottom. Now on Polaris' thing, they said you had to remove this little bracket here. I'm gonna try to get this clutch cover out without doing that. I may or may not be able to. And then you've got to remove this, which is the two flatheads right here. I'm going to remove those, get those out. And then you've got to take out each of the little bolts here. I think there's 18 of them around through there. But I'll get all that out there and then we'll see what we got. We was talking about this piece and the things that it's for. I think this is also to keep water from the clutches. It probably helps with sound too, but if you look here, there's a nipple to let water out. So I'm guessing that those chambers, if water starts to go into the boot or somehow, that you can let water out of this. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's probably for a little bit of everything. But there's where it goes into the clutches, stuff like that. I've got that off there. And you can see here, now I've got to remove these bolts out of this plating that goes all the way around through here. And then I'll get that off there and we'll see what we got. I wanted to show you guys this. So if you're ever on the trail and you plan on changing this belt, it would be a pain to try to get to those two right there on the bottom without really long extensions. Now your toolkit comes with an 8mm and a 10mm. Yes, it'll take these out, but to get to that bottom one, I would keep a double extension or one extension that was long in your toolkit with an 8mm on it, just so you can put it in straight from the front right here and undo it without having to try to get your hand and everything back in there. All right, so I've got all this cover off. Now, I only took the one bolt out of here and turned this, and it's a little bit tricky to get the cover out. But you basically just push it forward and shift the back end up in the top of this, and then you can pull it out. Your clutch spreader comes in your toolkit, and so you just run this in. This will spread this enough to let your belt come off of here. And so I'm gonna get that off, put the new belt on, but I'll show you the two side by side and the differences and let you be the judge. Like I said, I don't know if this will work or not, but if it does, then this would be great. Like I said, you can go to the guy's channel and watch his stuff. I'll put a link in the bio for that, and we're gonna see in testing. So the bottom belt is Polaris, and the top belt is the other company's belt. I mean, I don't know anything about belts, but I'm willing to try this. If it's a better belt, makes your shifting better, all that. But to me, the Polaris one looks like a better belt. I don't know why, but to me, the cogs on the inside are thicker, and the upper cogs are wider on the Polaris, as in the thickness of those. But I don't know, let's stick this on and try it. I also called to see if there's any special thing I need to do to the clutches when putting this belt on. He said just to take brake spark cleaner, put it on a rag, and then wipe the insides there. And you can see, even with 70 miles on the machine, there's a lot of debris that come off of those actual like rub points for the belt. So just make sure you clean your clutches, no matter how many miles you've got. Just do it while you're in there. I blew mine out also, but nothing really come out of there. They haven't been running enough to matter. let's get to 20. So anywhere from 48 to 49. All right, now I'm gonna go back and change the belt out. I do think on that hunterworks belt, that if you're going 10 to 15 mile per hour, that it actually lowers the RPM a little bit. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, and it's really hard to tell on those machines because you've got so many different variants in the terrain. And even in this video, I've tried to keep it to where the spots were the same in the video. So I had to chop some of it to get it to where you could see the exact same spots. But in my field, you know, back here, as you go up this terrain and through here, there's little bumps and things like that. So those, you know, those will shift your foot on the throttle. But I did feel like for the lower RPM that it had a difference in it. Now, like I said, you can go to hunterworks channel and see how they explain why their belt, they feel like it's better. But we're going to take this on a trail ride and a few other deals. And then I've got a trip planned, if it all works out, to go to Brimstone. And so I'll see how it does perform in there. I've drove it around, you know, a little bit through this area and stuff. But for me, it's kind of hard to tell if there's any difference in it or not from the OEM. And maybe I just didn't get enough time in the OEM. But I can tell you this, that it's cheaper than an OEM belt. So if it is better or even equivalent, then you can get that belt for cheaper, and then you can just keep your OEM with you. Give you guys some trail ride time. I haven't had time to do a video with much trail riding here lately. We've had so much going on with other things. But I think that I've got planned to go to Brimstone the 26th through the 28th, if it all works out. And really see how this does. If that works out, we're going to have a Defender Limited Max on that ride also. That's a friend of mine, and he's all stock, and I'm going to keep mine stock until then, and that way we can see how both of them do on the trail. Now, I have installed a new belt on mine just to try out from another company, and I'm still testing it to see how it is compared to the factory one, but so far it seems just as good, and maybe a hair quieter from 0 to 10 mile per hour. I don't really think it's any quieter on the upper end, but we'll see. This hill here is a little bit steeper than what it looks, and it's starting to get a gullet in it over here on this left side. But this machine has performed really, really well. And you know how I was talking about the clutches and stuff letting out? Once you learn how to use this machine, it works really well. And if you just keep your foot on the throttle, you won't have any trouble on the trails, and it'll creep down a hill, even bigger hills. The thing that I really like about this machine is the suspension. I mean, it's just absolutely a game changer coming from a Ranger or Defender. What I would compare it to, it's not as good as a new body razor with a trailing arm. At least the rear isn't, because it doesn't have as much travel. But the front, we used to have a 2015 Maverick Turbo, and it was independent A-arm like this is. And this machine rides better than that did. Just the control and the suspension and how it can keep the body straight. I mean, we're going over logs and bumps, and I'm about half throttle. I'm not fully getting on it, but here's a tree right here. And I mean, it just barely moves over it. Let me go over this side here and kind of show you how it, I've got a new area over here that I'm going to start using for testing, but this right here is what I plan on making to where it's just probably a 2.5 to 3 foot little lip. But most of the machines, unless they've got 30s on them, would belly out on that. And, you know, this, I really need some kind of rock test down here. But, you know, as long as you can get over the noise of this machine, you'll absolutely love it. So far, I haven't seen any way to really change the sound decibel in here on the forums unless you do Assassin's clutch kit. And I don't want to lose the horsepower that I've got. And when you do that clutch kit, you lose probably 8 to 9, maybe even 10 horsepower. So to me, it's not worth losing the horsepower. I would just love to figure out a way that I could keep my same horsepower and not lose what I've got. I'm gonna have to move this tree. Tell you what, deer ticks and stuff are nuts this time of year. I've got several hills that I used to have right on this, and I know that looking at it through the video, it doesn't do it any justice whatsoever. But once I get the belt seated, I plan on this right here that goes up through there. It used to be cleared out, and I'm gonna see how this goes up it. I never could get the defenders to go up it because you only have a short distance to take off right here. So once it's this right over here. So you've got probably, 15 foot. And I probably could have got the defenders up it, but it was just not gonna be smooth. And this has so much more low end grunt in it that I think I can leave it in high and go up it no problem and not have to worry about it. Now, we used to take the Maverick up it all the time, but I mean, the Maverick that I had was a 15, and I had a turbo kit on it and a whole bunch of other stuff done to it, injectors, full exhaust. And it started out at 100 and I can't remember if it was 21 or 131 horse. And I think that kit that I put on it gave it 30 or 40 horse to the rear wheel. So it just had way more horsepower than this. But this machine, as far as in the woods, I have been so impressed with it. The only thing that I've noticed is it's no more tipsy than a Defender, but I don't know that this wouldn't tip the same as a Defender. And what I mean is, I don't know that this wouldn't fall over if you got it off camber any better than a Defender or a Ranger. Other than that aspect, it does extremely well. And I haven't tipped it yet, but I have been extremely close with it, just down here playing around. And we're going to drive on up through here, but I just want to get out and move that stick and show you guys. This thing's geared like a goat. I mean, it when you put it in low, it is just absolutely crazy how low the low gear is. I'll show you guys this, but look at all those frogs jumping there. I'll be honest, I miss the doors opening the other way. I don't mind the doors opening this way, but I'm so used to when I pull up to something like this, if I've got to get out and get it, that I can just open the door and step right to it and get it. I'm not a fan. I know a lot of people kept preaching and preaching, wanting to have the doors like this. I'm not so much a fan yet. Maybe once I get used to it, it'll be different. But it's always funny when you get out to show these things how nothing on video matters. But you can see that the lip of this is, you know, well over that little lip right there. It starts and then it creeps on up. I mean, to the top of this, it's as tall as the cab, the top of the cab. But I just want to show you how easy this tire creeps up this and how well this thing's clutched. And I usually put it in comfort mode just because you can throttle it so easy. But look at here, I mean, you see that? And I want to park this right here, and I'm going to show you. We'll see if it'll sit here. All right, so I'm gonna get out and show you the rear tire. So you can see here how much it's coming up, but just, you know, this thing it goes so well. And in our other Defender, you know, when I would hit that front lip, which it had Visco lock on it, when I would hit that front lip with that tire and it had to put all that pressure to it, it would want to put the pressure to this and this tire slip. Whereas this thing, it just will creep up anything. And I mean, you can see here that I've got this tire complete. I mean, it's 2 foot off the ground back there and I'm sitting cockeyed. And the other tire over there, you know, it's squished to the ground. But this machine, it performs so well going up this stuff. And you can just point it, and as long as your tires can grip, it'll just go. I mean, it just comes up. And I really, really enjoy driving it. And like I said, I'm not trying to say that I'm down here climbing Mount Rushmore, but there's a lot of people that would get to this point right here and start to feel it tip over, and they would just back off. You know, you can see there that the rear tire is sitting over, but like I said, video never does anything justice. But I'm trying to give you guys as much content so you can make the best decision possible. I mean, the seat's up to my waist right now, and I'm sitting sideways. But anyway, let's go on up. Put my foot on the brake. like I said, from a trail perspective, there's just no comparison between this and a Defender. The Defender does great, and you'll be fine on the trails. But if you want the best cab machine possible, then this is the machine that you want for sure. It's just so smooth, especially if you're creeping. You know, a lot of the hardcore trails you're going to be creeping on, but at the same time, if you got this much money in a machine, I don't know if you're going to want to be taking it down crazy trails. You may not, I don't know. It can get expensive, I can tell you that. I mean, if you take this down like a red trail at Brimstone and you decide that you want to lean over on something, you're going to scrape the whole side of this. It's untelling how much those panels are. But this is where I was at the other day. And if you aren't careful on this, the way that you have to... So if you could just go straight off, you would have zero trouble. But the problem with this is you can see how narrow this spot is. When this machine goes off of it, you have to turn. You have to start going down. The machine's so long that when you start to go down that drop off, and like I said, this is over waist high to the bottom of it. I don't know why video depth sucks on every camera, but when you drop off there, you have to start turning. And when you start turning to go through there with this really long machine, to miss over there, even turning, you can see where my front tire hit last time on the wall over there. You've got to turn, and what it does is it makes the whole machine start to tip. And so it's just one of those things. If you could go just straight off, you wouldn't have any trouble with that. But this is steep enough that my belly drags on it. So that's why it's harder to do. Now, if I had 32s, it might do a whole lot better, but then at the same time, it's going to lift me up. I think on these machines, if you put like a 1-inch or 2-inch offset with a set of 32s, this machine would be 100 times more stable. And when I'm talking about all this, I'm not saying this machine is unstable. I'm not saying it's better than a Defender, it's better than a Ranger, but these cab machines have a whole lot of weight up top. That glass all the way around through there weighs a whole lot. And, you know, it's not like it's built like an X3 where everything's sunk down in the ground. You know, it's high up. So, you know, all your weight is up top. And when you start going down this stuff and you start getting tipsy, you know, it feels a little bit hairy. And you can't, I mean, when you're in here, you see the same thing I do. So I can't see anything in my front until I'm already off of that lip. So until I've done got in the you know, hairy spot, I can't even see what I'm doing. And that's another thing that takes some getting used to with this machine. You know, the Defender and the Ranger, you can see well in front of you before you can see on this machine the way the dash and the hood is set up on this. So it's just a different visual and a different viewpoint than those machines. So just keep that in mind also.